Jeff Johnson, what's going on, Bubba? How you doing, buddy? Mike, good to see you on here, bud. Get some people on here and we'll fire this thing up, guys. Jeff Johnson, can you hear me all right? How's it going, John Seats? Glad you guys made it home from the show all right. Good deal, Jeff. Yeah, things are starting to dry out here pretty good, but now we got a whole bunch of rain coming in Friday. Mike, married life's the best, man. It's going great. I appreciate you asking. I love it. Except I had to do this tonight, so she went with her girlfriends to Texas Roadhouse, and I had to have McDonald's. So that's the only negative thing. But no, it's going great, man. Jeffrey, good to see you on here, bud. Kevin McFarland, how you doing, brother? Give a couple more minutes, and we're going to fire it up. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Doug Lamb, good to see you, bud. Jeff, if you're needing product at the Wisconsin show, you better let me know ahead of time because they're pretty much selling out at every show. So I just sold out at Iowa. So make sure you let me know what you need, bud. I can throw a few extra things in. As long as it ain't feed products, stuff like that, because I don't have any here to bring. I ain't been bringing any feed products or anything like that. Just blocks, seeds, stuff like that. Mineral. All right, guys, let's just go ahead and fire this thing off here. Well, I know a lot of people probably have planting on their minds. They got mineral licks on their mind. Weather's drying up, then it's wet again, but we're all still thinking the same thing. It's food plot time. So I know I'm itching to get it done, but I'm on the road all the time now. So who knows when that'll ever happen. Again, in my area, we finally got rid of the snow. It was wet. Now it's dry enough to play around, and now it's going to get a flood on Friday. So yes, good time to be on the road. I apologize if I'm a little hoarse tonight because it just came from the Iowa show. One of the best Iowa shows that I've ever been to in all my years of doing these shows. And I talked enough that I can't really talk. So just stick with me here a little bit. Sounds good, Jeff. what I'm really thinking about, and it really got me thinking about during the Iowa show, was all the people coming up, not only frost seeding, but now they're getting into the springtime prep. They're wanting to get ready to start working some ground, uh, get the seed out. Ground temps are going to be warming up here before too long. The clover is going to be popping. Uh, Even germination wise on clover, you get that ground temp at a constant 50 to 55 degrees. You're going to get good germination going on. So it's that time of year, most definitely. So let's kick this off the way I always do. And I just happened to look here and notice I don't have one in here, but probably because I used it. um, Number one step, the biggest step everybody just forgets about, don't cares about, and it's the most important step. Number one, checking the pH of your soil. I won't plant a plot unless I know what the pH of my soil is. And I mean that religiously. I will not plant one. If somebody called me today to ask me to come over and put in 10 acres of clover without checking the pH, I'd lose out on the money because I wouldn't do it. So, when you look at the pH of your soil, testing your soil, even if you're using a test like ours, going to a co-op, heck, I don't care if you go to a competitor and get a pH test kit, go to Menards and get a probe that you stick in the ground. I don't care where you do it at or where you get it from. It is the cheapest and most important thing to building a successful food plot. And not just as in growing a plot, but your yields. I'm at the point now where just a food plot growing does not satisfy me. I want the most yield I can get out of that plot. Now, with me working with Antler King, testing all this seed, I know what the yields are on these mixes. So when I see a plot that I can pretty much tell you either you don't have any nutrients in your soil or your pH is way low or both. So just by looking at it, especially you take something like you're getting ready to start planting or trophy clover mix or game changer clover or Booner Buffet. Them are plots, especially the Booner Buffet and the trophy clover, that have very high yields to them. I mean, a lot of tonnage. You're looking at, you can be up to that 10 tons per acre, 30% protein if you do it right. And doing it right starts with checking your pH, adding the correct amount of lime to get it up close to that neutral, that 7.0. I always shoot for a 6.5 to a 7.0. I want that 7.0. I'll deal with a 6.5, knowing that next year I'll add more and I'll get it jump back up there to where I want at that neutral 7.0. So I'll kind of show you a little bit what I'm talking about here because a lot of people don't realize it. Hopefully you guys can see this pretty easily. See if I can find it here. Talking about why you should check your pH. Hopefully you guys can see this. Right there is why you should check your pH. A lot of places around there, you're at a strongly acid 5.5. I don't care if you're in farm ground, country, where you're at, a 5.5 is pretty normal. You're losing 32.68% of your fertilizer that you put in. So not only are you losing the fertilizer, you're losing the money that it costs to buy that fertilizer. So when you're looking at lime at $4 a bag compared to $20 a bag for fertilizer, that pH of that soil is actually what will allow that plant to absorb the amount of fertilizer that you put on it. So getting up to that 7.0 is where you're going to get 100% profit. Even at a 6.0, you're losing 20% pretty much. So getting that up there, that's exactly what you want to do. So with that being said, let's look at like our game changer clover. You look at game changer clover, which is a shade tolerant mix. When it comes to a shade tolerant mix, yes, it will grow down in lower pH soils. Yes, it will grow in a shaded area. But the higher the pH, the more tonnage you receive. The higher the amount of sun that you receive to that plot or get to that plot, the higher tonnage. So just because it will grow in a 5 or 5.5, that doesn't mean you're going to get all the tonnage that you want. You're not going to get the highest yields that bag of seed can actually offer. So if you're in the backwoods using Game Changer clover and you're at a 5.5 or a 5.0, whatever you're at, throw some lime on that plot, get that plot built up, and you're going to have a lot more tonnage than what you would have at that lower pH. So adding fertilizer to a plot instead of adding lime does you no good if you don't know what that pH is. So you're just throwing money on the ground. And me, myself, I wasted money in a lot of stupid ways, but I'm not doing it anymore when it comes to as cheap as lime is. So make sure you get the lime put on that plot, get that pH build up. And if you haven't already done it, which you should have, you better be getting on it, because if you're looking at ag lime, you're looking at a 6-month breakdown. If you're looking at pelletized lime, you're looking at a 3-month breakdown. So getting the lime on sooner than later, you'll definitely benefit a lot better, and your plants will definitely benefit a lot better. Now let's get into working soil, working the ground. I heard it many times this last weekend. Got weed issues, got weed problems, weed and grass problems. How did you work your soil? I tilled it 10 inches deep, turned it to powder, and it was just the most beautiful seed bed you ever seen. But at doing that, you're turning all that weed seed up. With me, you'll never see me work the ground deeper than 3 inches. Usually it's 1.5 to 2 inch. No matter if it's a tiller or a disc, you just need to make a little 1.5 seed bed on top. Now, if you have a hard pan in your soil, real hard clay soil, once every 5 years or so, yeah, you should probably dig it up. And then you're just going to have to take care of the weed and grass problems with some select herbicides. But you're only looking probably once every 5 years with that. Take an old tile probe out there, push it in the soil. You feel that hard spot anywhere, 8, 10, 12 inches deep. Yeah, you need to bust it up. But most people with black dirt, what we're doing, you don't have to worry about it. So, but lighten up on doing your seed beds. The deeper you go, the more weed and grass seed that you're pulling up that is stored down in that soil. And that's going to be the first thing to germinate and take over a plot and smother out whatever you're trying to plant. So lighten that disc up, or raise that disc up, I should say. Raise that tiller up, set it where it's going about 1.5 to 2 inches, and just let it eat that top up. That's all you need to do with that. Now, if you're in an area that you have, good dirt already exposed, you see everything, you don't have a weedy, grassy mess, even an old harrow section, 4 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot harrow section with the spikes, you can break up the top layer of that pretty easily. I personally, when I'm running a harrow section, I'll run it backwards. I don't want the teeth digging in. I just want them dragging on the top to bust that top layer up. So I'll run it backwards. I'll never pull it with the teeth. I always pull it against them. So, but what you need to look at there is just keeping that weed, that seed bed as weed free and grass free as you can. And even though you're at 1.5 or 2 inches, you're still going to turn some weed seed and stuff up, but you're not turning a bunch of it up like you would if you're going, 6, 7, 8, 10 inches deep. So no matter how fluffy and pretty it looks, it's better to go with a lighter seed bed, and they look just as good. So now, many, many different ways of, how do I want to say it? Many different ways of planting a food plot. Number one with me, prior to planting any food plot, I always stick with the old trusty Plot Max right there. That old Plot Max, that soil conditioner is as good as they come. It's humic acid. Now, even though on the bottle, we have to state on the bottle just because it does it, it will spike your pH. It is not a so-called liquid calcium. It's humic acid and carbon. So with the humic acid, it will spike it. But very short-lived. Use your pelletized lime or your ag lime to get your pH where it is. This product here with the humic acid and the carbon is made to break down the soil to allow the nutrients to get to the root system easier. So all you're using this for is to break that soil down. It will help with moisture. It'll help keep moisture into the plot longer. Sandier soils, it works awesome for something to help with moisture. So instead of it filtering right through, it gives it something to hang on to and not just drain it all the way to China. So, but that is always my first, and I'm always putting that on prior to I work a plot. My own personal way of doing things, I will go in with my Liberty herbicide. I will mix in my Roundup with it. If I'm going to kill an area off, I'll go kill that area off with the Plot Max and the Liberty herbicide, kill it off. I'll wait 12 days and I'll come back and start working ground. So again, light seed bed, not very thick, not very deep, only 1.5 inches or so, 2 inches. And then I come back in with the Packer. I'm running the Packer Max I've had for many, many years. I'm getting in there, packing that soil down. I'm running over one time. I'll take it one time with the Packer Max, my Packer. Then I'll go in there and I'll hand broadcast my seed. When I hand broadcast my seed, no matter what I'm using, most of us here coming up are going to be using a clover variety or an alfalfa variety. I love using an old bag seeder. That's my favorite thing to do. I will never throw seed with an ATV with a seeder on the back of it. You cannot regulate it. It's just something I will not do. Some guys do it, have good luck, but I cannot regulate it the way I want. So with that bag seeder, even though it has numbers on it, one through I think 8 now, these newer ones, but it's got the wing nut that you can hold that stop lever at anywhere you want. So I never go by a number. I go by putting the seed in. I start to crack that gate just a little bit. When I start seeing them seeds just barely dropping out, I'll tighten that wing nut up, knowing that's where I want to stop at. That's where when I throw the trigger on it, I want them seeds barely dropping out. If I see seeds fanning out in front of me, I shut the gate down even more. I do not want to see them seeds fanning. I actually use my finger. I can hold that bag and turn it, and I can feel them seeds flipping off my finger. That's what I want. And I kind of go by on how they're hitting me. But with the trophy clover, the good thing about it is, and now with the game changer clover being coated, you can really see them seeds on the ground. So you can see if you're going real heavy or not. You don't want to go heavy. If I have more than 10 seeds in a square foot, I'm backing her off. I got way too many seeds down on the ground. So don't go by the number on your seeders. Go by where you can stop that gate. So when you pull that trigger or lever, whatever you got, that it stops where them seeds just do drop out, and it'll work out the best for you. But after broadcasting, number one, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going right back in with the old Packer Max the Packer. I'm going to roll over it one more time. I always seed on a firm seed bed, and I leave on a firm seed bed. So I call the pack, I broadcast, and I call the pack again. Now, I don't go run back and forth 100 mile an hour all over back and forth. I just a nice steady strip all the way across it. I'm done. I don't ever go back over it again. It's just one and done. So one prior to planting, one after planting. And that is the best results that I've ever had is by doing it by that method. So it works out very well. Now, fall time of the year, just jumping ahead a little bit, fall time, I'm always using our Jolt fertilizer. I'll mix it in with my herbicide and my Plot Max. I'll do all three and spray it first so I get that nitrogen in the ground. But on the spring plots, I don't. A lot of people think I use clover fuel prior to planting, but I don't. I wait and use my clover fuel after that plant reaches 3 inches tall. So the Jolt, I spray on ahead of time. The clover fuel, I don't. All right, let's see what we got on here. I see a bunch of people jumping through here. I'd rather answer your question. You just listen to me gab. Doug Lamb saying he's had a question asked to him. How deep should you dig your soil for a soil sample? What I like doing, if I got a square plot, or no matter what size it is, I'll go to all four corners and one in the middle, and I'll just take a little handheld garden shovel. I'll scrape the top part of the sod off of it, And then I'm only going down about 3 to 4 inches. I'll just get a little scoop out of all 4 corners, one in the center, mix them all up in a 2-gallon bucket, then take my 8-ounce sample out of it. Chris Ashley, good to see you on here, bud. Jeff Johnson asking, can I put chicory down on bare ground in early spring like I did my clover last year? Absolutely. You can broadcast chicory just like you do grass seed, bud. Does very well. Want to be outdoors? Good to see you on here, guys. Let's see here. Mike's talking about so till and pelletized lime, seed and jolt and plot max since I didn't get the lime in before winter. Yeah, get that. Get your. It's going to help the breakdown process if you can till it under. If it's not too wet, you can till it under. But if you're planting any clovers, bud, or alfalfas, anything like that, I wouldn't use the jolt because it's nitrogen based. You'll feed the weeds and grasses. Use a clover fuel. Just depends on what you're using. That jolt's better for the annual mixes that need the nitrogen. The clover sucks in nitrogen from the atmosphere and stores it in the soil. So the more nitrogen you put on it, the more you're feeding the weeds and grasses, and that's what the jolt's for, is the nitrogen. So it's best to use a clover fuel. Richard, good to see you on here, bud. Got David on here asking what our best mineral supplement is. Our best mineral is our Trophy Deer mineral. That's the one that started the company back in 1986. Low in salt, and it's got 25 different trace minerals and vitamins in it. It is the #1 mineral. I'll put it against anything. It's one of them. Everybody's heard me say it a million times. If they fire me today, I'll use it tomorrow. And I'm in Illinois, so that means a lot since we can't use it in Illinois. So, but no, I use it on my Indiana farm. But no, I wish I could use it here. Man, do I wish I could use that mineral here in Illinois. But it's not worth the ticket. Brian's asking if red zone can be tilled in after a burn down. That is our soybean pea buckwheat mix. Absolutely, it can be. We did it out in Iowa a couple of years ago with a Genesis drill, and it worked out beautiful. It takes a little bit. The peas and the soybeans are pretty much almost identical in size. The only negative thing you have there with the buckwheat, sometimes I notice that you drop a little bit more buckwheat out in an area, than it really needs to be. But they're just using that for a nurse crop anyway. It's going to be gone as soon as it starts growing. So, but yes, you can, bud. Jake is asking, it just flipped over. Jake is asking, is Trophy Deer mineral better for the deer than Lick Magic? I'm guessing Lick Magic more brings the deer in. Absolutely, Jake. The Lick Magic bucket, that is more of an attractant mineral. It does have 11 different trace minerals and vitamins. It's higher in sodium, but that's what makes it the attractant, is the salt. Anytime you find salt in a mineral, which you always do, if you're over 27% salt, you have an attractant mineral. There's not enough room to put the goodies in there if you're over 27% salt. So if you look at one like ours, we're running on the high side is 27% salt, but you got your 25 different trace minerals and vitamins, and it has every single trace mineral and vitamin in there that is needed for skeletal growth. So a lot of people think there's this 1 or 2 that it takes. They're completely wrong. So there is a lot of them. So with that Trophy Deer mineral, you're looking for antler growth, bone structure, stomach health, lactating does. you're looking at all kinds of things there. And that's what that one is for. The Lick Magic, you can pour that on the ground, and within 15 minutes of never having that on your property, you'll have deer on it. I promise you that. The aroma is just unbelievable, and the deer hammer it. See what we got here. Oh, Mark. How you doing, Mark? Mark Coleman put out some trophy deer mineral today. 2 hours later, deer were all over it already. Love this stuff. Glad I bought 4 bags. I appreciate it, Mark. Old Timmy Lambert. Good to see you on here, brother. Let's see who I'm missing here. I know we're getting off of the food plot subject, but let's go back. I got, like I say, there's a lot of mineral questions on here, so let's just jump on there a little bit. A lot of people have asked us about our power rack. Little 5-pound bag, 50% salt, got some good trace minerals and vitamins in it. They ask, why do we have that? Well, here is the main reason. Again, 1986, Todd Siddleberg, the founder of Antler King, developed the trophy deer mineral. The very first deer mineral ever put on the market. He started the mineral craze with that product, and it has not changed since he developed it. The only thing that's changed is the bag. But what we have here is we have, I guess you want to call them competitors that jumped in with the minerals that are very, very high in salt. Some of them are 98%, if that tells you anything. So it's like me eating Reese's peanut butter cups. I love them, but it ain't going to do no good for me, and too many of them is bad for me. Now, when you look at a higher salt content, again, that's the candy. So what people were doing, they're like, I put so-and-so's out, and I put your trophy deer mineral out, and yeah, they end up coming into yours, and then they're in it every night, but it took them longer to get to it than so-and-so's. Well, the way I kind of explain it is, we all take medicine. If you think about trophy deer mineral, that's the medicine. The 98% salt is the candy. We love the taste of candy, so we're going to hit it first. The medicine helps us, but it tastes like crap. But we know we need it, so we're gonna eat it. Then it's kind of an addictive thing. Kind of makes it, I guess, a deer a druggie. I guess, I don't know. But so what we end up doing is taking the power rack, building it with 50% salt, because there's no way we could add any more salt to this, and we wouldn't anyway, because then we wouldn't have the best mineral on the market. So we told people, if you're building a new lick and you're not happy with the results, then starting out, because I'll tell you what, within a week, you don't have to worry about it. They're tearing it up. If you want 50 deer on that thing at that first night, pour 1 bag, that 5-pound bag, on top of this one in the lick, and then you're good to go. They got their candy and their medicine. So if you see, that's a 20-pound bag. If we added that, it'd be a 25-pound bag people would have to carry. So it's not like we could add any more sweetness to this. We had to put it in a separate bag itself, so you could get still the same 25 trace minerals and vitamins at the percentages they need to be in that bag. They're not just in there. There's a certain amount of them in there that makes everything work together like spokes on a wheel. If one of them's off, just like if a spoke is bent, the wheel's going to wobble. Same way with the mineral. If you don't have everything right, it's not going to work. You're just feeding the deer, and it's not helping them the way it should. Just like growing a food plot. You don't check your pH, it might look okay, but it could be a lot better. Minerals the exact same way. So, and the power rack, and along with the Lick Magic, both of them are the best camera magnets you can ever buy. You pour some out, that's all you need. And the trophy deer mineral being a 20-pound bag, that is actually made to do 4 licks. You're only looking about 5 pounds of mineral per lick. And you're looking at 1 mineral lick per 40 acres. So what I like to do, though, instead of going back and refreshing, I use 1 bag, 1 20-pound bag in the spring, 1 20-pound bag late summer, and then I'm done. That's all I need. And I have a very, very high amount of numbers of deer on my Indiana farm, and they destroy it so bad that it is a pain in the butt to clean it up before hunting season because we can't have it there during hunting season. It's a mess. It takes a lot, but it's just something that you just want to use the right thing. Getting back with the pH, that's the right thing to do. That's the number one thing to do. Minerals, the number one thing to do is use the proper mineral for what you're wanting to use it for. If you're wanting to go out and draw every deer on your property overnight with a high aroma, the Lick Magic's going to do it over the trophy deer mineral. But if you want a mineral there that them deer can get into when they need it and when they need it the most, the trophy deer mineral is the way to go. So you just pick and choose what you're actually wanting out of your deer, what you're looking for, and then you can pick the mineral that you want. Jason, good to see you on here, bud. Well, since we got some time left on here, we can kind of jump ahead a little bit. Jake's asking, is it best to put the mineral out before rain to let it soak in? It doesn't really matter, bud. It's going to lay there. The morning dews are going to help dissolve it. And then the rains that do come in are going to dissolve it even better. So it doesn't matter if you put it out before or after rain. It's just going to do its job when Mother Nature allows it to. Hey, Brian. Brian's asking, when should I put in my order for red zone? I live in Michigan, just south of Lansing. Anytime, bud. You can get your order in any time. It's going to be time to plant before you know it. That ground temp be hitting about 60 degrees before you know it. How fast this year is going already. Yeah, I hear you, Brian. You wish you could use minerals in Michigan. I wish I could use them here in Illinois. Literally, my two properties, my Illinois and my Indiana property, are 1.5 miles apart. That's how close I am to the Indiana line. I can use it a half mile over on the Indiana line, but I can't use it a half mile back. It's ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing ever. But again, it goes right back to, I truly believe that this is all due to the insurance companies wanting every deer dead just because of car accidents. So I think the insurance world pays a lot of money to the DNR and to the state. I guess I should say more to the state. So every time we protest this, we get shot down. I think that's the reason why. It's all a money spam. But I'm not good at that kind of stuff anyway. So that's just my theory, though. There's no reason we shouldn't be trying to make our deer healthier. We got Whitetails Unlimited. Supposed to be putting all this money into habitat to raise deer, or are putting it in. I shouldn't say they are. They're putting in to raise deer. All these Pheasants Forever. All this stuff goes in to make all this money for habitat and to make our herds better, this and that. But then we can't use mineral that is the best thing in the world for raising. I mean, if I could only do one or the other, I would probably just do mineral. Now I know in the winter time of the months, it's kind of hard because they have to survive off their natural browse. But I would, if I'm wanting to build deer, I would use the right mineral, and you can do it with the right mineral. What else we got here? Should you put a pallet of Grainiac blocks next to your mineral for optimal effect? I am not a fan of having my mineral and my feed next to each other, even though I can't feed. But you know, if I was in a state that I could actually feed deer, I can in Indiana throughout the summer, but I don't. I test feed there, but I don't feed them year round or throughout the summer months. I like having my mineral off in an area that, like I say, I go in with that trophy deer mineral in the spring, and I go in midsummer, late summer and I refreshen it. That's the only 2 times I go to that mineral lick every year. That's it. Well, I lie. I go by it mushroom hunting because I find a lot of mushrooms close by it. So I got to go there mushroom season. Other than that, I'm not going by there any other time. But I always put my mineral licks in an area that is completely away from any place that I hunt, food plot, anything. I want them deer to feel safe and secure where that's at, and they only got to worry about me maybe going in and out of there maybe 3 times a year. I don't ever put it anywhere where I'm in the woods quite often, as in food plots, spraying, mowing. It is the farthest spot away from that I can be, on the flattest area I can find, so there's no runoff. That's where I like putting all my minerals. So now a lot of guys like putting blocks out by them, feed by them. They like mixing in with their feed, but I'm just not that guy. I want them all on their own in their own little sanctuary, and they can feel safe and not have to worry about me coming in and out there all the time. Oh, Anthony Kosher. How you doing, Anthony? I bet you're getting ready to take off for Ohio, aren't you? Jason, absolutely. It's always better to have minerals by water. And I mean, not next to them. I mean, within, it's not something that they got to travel a mile and have to go get a drink, so hopefully, a creek running through the property, something like that. I don't put them right on top of water. They're a ways away from it, but usually it's to and from, almost kind of like a hunting type deal. You're trying to hunt to and from a bedding area. I kind of put my mineral licks as the mineral lick to and from their feed. So they're going to have their mineral, they're going to have their water, feed, then feed, water, mineral, bed. So that's kind of how I kind of set mine up. Jay, absolutely. I run cameras on my mineral sites the whole time. Yep. See if I'm missing anything here, guys. I say I'd rather answer your guys' questions. You guys just hear me ramble along, so that's what I'm on here for. I'm just wanting to make sure that got everybody here. They start rolling through pretty quick. Good deal, Anthony. Yeah, I knew you'd probably be out there shed hunting. We're getting ready to take off. Instead of doing the Ohio show, we're doing the Minnesota show. So leaving tomorrow for Minnesota. Just got back from Iowa Monday. Now we're heading to Minnesota. So it's going to be a long weekend. But no, like I said here just a few minutes ago, let's jump on something. This really ain't preparation, but it's going to be something coming up, and it will be another Turnin Dirt episode here coming up pretty shortly. But I kind of spoke a little bit about the fertilizers, the clover fuel, and the jolt. The jolt being more for your annual type mixes that need the nitrogen. The clover fuel, when you guys want to start using that, a lot of guys they think they can go out there, like I said earlier, and put it on prior to, and you can, but it's a foliar fertilizer. You want that you want to spray that on that plant for that plant to adhere it in and suck it down to the root system. So what you're looking at is a foliar fertilizer that you'd like to have the plant at least 3 inches tall to get the best results you can get out of it. The more plant that's there, the more that's going to stick to it. So you start seeing them plants jump up there about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. Just wait until you get that plant 3 inches tall or taller. A lot of times by then you're getting into having maybe some grass in there, some weeds in there. That's where the clethodim for grass control comes in. 2,4-DB for your broadleaf. You can mix the clover fuel in right with them. You can fertilize the plant and kill off the grass and broadleafs at the same time with just one spraying by mixing them in the same tank. So again, that is not a preparation. It's kind of an afterwards deal, but it's just something that just kind of keep back in your mind that it's best to let them plants get about 3 inches tall. Now the plot max, you want to spray it on prior to planting, or if it's an existing plot, you can spray it on your existing plot as well. But I like spraying mine on prior to planting. Mike's asking ground temp of 50-55 degrees to plant clover. 50-55 degrees for clover to start its germination process. You can actually, if Mother Nature allow you to work soil and plant it prior to that, you can, and your seeds just lay there dormant. They're not going to rot or nothing like that. So you can actually plant earlier than that 50-degree ground temp and just wait for it to happen, and then your germination process to start. Now, when you look into soybeans, our Barricade blend, which is our sorghum variety for our shield, you want to wait till the ground tips hit about 60 degrees before you even plant. Another mic on here talking about kitchen sink. Yeah, that kitchen sink is a heck of a, it is a very attractive feed there, bud. I mean, that was just kind of a thought one day at a show, and then it became our number 2 selling product running and our number 1 feed product selling. It's ridiculous. The deer will just destroy it. Anthony, you better believe Iowa is good for us. That Iowa show was the best show that I have seen in 24 years, bud. Sold out of everything except, I think we probably brought 25 bags of stuff home, but most of them are 1-pound bags. We sold out of everything. Friday of the first day of the show, we sold out of trophy clover, all but 1 bag of Game Changer, all trophy deer mineral, all Graniac blocks. We were sold out by closing time on Friday, the first day. It was ridiculous, but that's a good problem to have. Jeff's asking if there's a shelf life on Clover Fuel, Jolt, and Plot Max. Not unless it freezes. You can put that on the shelf and keep it as long as you want, no matter if you open the seal or not. But if it freezes, throw it away. So it's going to break down if it freezes. So as long as you don't let it freeze, you're good to go. Chris Harper asking, can we get 3X hoodies? Buddy, I think they got some in now. I'm about positive they do. Or I think it's our gray hoodies, our gray Antler King hoodies. But I think they do have the 3XM. I know they did here just a while back. All right, guys, got any more questions? I'm just going to keep rambling if you don't. Try to miss something here. One thing, like Jay Reed, he was asking here a little bit ago if I use cameras on a mineral lake. For many years, I used still cameras, and I hurt myself more than I helped myself with going in wanting to check them. We all know how it is. You got to run in there every week or two, man. You know you're going to have a bunch of picks. Then bucks going to be on there, and you're just constantly blowing that area out. So cell cams have been one of the best things for, especially animal recognition, where you can pick what pictures it actually takes. It doesn't always work all the time. You still get a bunch of pictures that blows you up, but you just pretty much just got to shut the notifications off and go. But yeah, I found over the last, probably 4 years now, 5 maybe. It's probably been 5 years when I switched I took my cameras off my mineral licks and I put them to and from mineral licks. They're not right on it, but they're within about 40, 50 yards of it on the heavy trails coming in. So, and a lot of them I picked that you could really tell a lot of them, just like your normal trails in the woods, you can tell a big difference between a buck trail and a doe trail. And you still get some does on it, but nothing like the other heavier trails. So I started doing that. I think this is my 5th year of running like that. And I have a lot better success that way than I do of it setting right on a lick and just keep going off, because I am a firm believer, a true believer, that a cell cam will spook a mature deer. So it going by and catching him, it don't bother me, but I don't want that camera going off like on a mineral lake just hitting them. So I truly believe it. Now, I could be completely wrong, but with the things that I've seen and how deer react to them, especially sitting in a tree stand and watching a mature deer come up and know that camera's there and get a little spooky when it goes off, I truly believe they do. So I kind of keep them off of the lick and just doing travel corridors. Steve Cooney, buddy, it was great to see you at Iowa. You surprised the heck out of me, man. We got to get a fishing trip set up very, very soon. Mike, I understand the coon issue. I'll tell you what you do, bud. And this is what I tell everybody. You can get online and you can find a block feeder. There's some out there for $10 all the way up to $200. Get you a block feeder that mounts on a T-post. It's the best thing in the world. And what you want to do, coons will climb a T-post. Go out and buy you a piece of galvanized, darn it. I'll think about here in just a second. Wow, I can't believe I thought I guess I want to say stovepipe. Galvanized stovepipe, exhaust pipe like you'd use like on a dryer. Usually comes in 3-inch. Excuse me. And it wraps around that, and then they hook. Well, to make your circle, wrap it around that pipe, and a coon cannot climb up it. They will try their best. It's fun to sit in a tree stand and watch them. They cannot climb up one of them. So get yourself a T-post and a T-post block feeder. Put that galvanized, that stovepipe around it, and you're good to go. Maybe Robbie can sing you happy birthday. When's your birthday, Steve? Did I miss it? I'm never on Facebook anymore doing anything. I always miss them. It must be today. I promise you one thing. I'm not singing you happy birthday on social media right now. I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it on the web. I'll be on TikTok tomorrow. I love you like a brother, but you know I can't sing. Chris Harper, I appreciate it very much, man. I help out in any way I can, bud. I'm glad you helped me shoot your biggest buck. That's awesome. Steve Cooney, happy birthday, buddy. I wish I'd known that at the show. Stacy usually tells me like 2 days after somebody's birthday, hey, did you wish him a happy birthday? I'm like, nah, I haven't been on there to see it. All right, guys, we've got just about 7 or 8 minutes left. They're going to shut me down on here. So, you got any more questions, throw them my way. I don't care if it's fall plots, what it is. You just let me know if you got a question. Because you know me, I could jibber jabber about anything, but Wouldn't doubt it, Steve. Rob's wanting to funnel deer past the stands by using our barricade on the edge of a plot. Should I plant it later in the spring than earlier? Plant it soon as that ground temp hits 60 degrees. And the reason I say this, bud, is barricade at first is a very slow growing plant. So until it gets about that third petal on it, which is going to take a month or so, then all of a sudden after that third petal, every time you go out there, it's just taller and taller and taller. It's like, holy crap. But a lot of people plant it and go back a couple weeks and then they work it under because they didn't think it took. Well, it's growing the root system. It's just a slow growing. Looks like a little corn plant sticking out. And no, get it in there, because what actually happens with that slow growing, I'd rather it see, two things can happen here. You can plant in the spring and it do very well, or you can plant in the spring and then hit a drought. The drought could kill it, or you could get rain in time to get it growing again. But if you plant in the fall and you don't have any rain, you're not going to have anything anyway. And you might not have the height that you want. So as soon as that ground temp hits 60 degrees, if you, like here in Illinois where I'm at, I don't even have to look at the ground temp. As soon as I see the first farmer planting bean or drilling beans, I'm going down to put barricade in, because I know the ground temp's right. Mike's saying that he planted or no sweat in a drought last year. It even grew till the deer turned it to dirt by the end of summer. Yeah, they definitely do that. I try to tell everybody, if you plant no sweat in the spring, this be aware that you're going to be replanting it in the fall, because the deer will destroy it. So, John C., yes, I did remember to get that. It's already cleaned up and in the gun case. Yeah, Jason said it'll be 2 months before the ground is 60 degrees and reads out. Absolutely. I bet it will be, bud. Actually, that's an awesome thing to do, Steve. I don't know why you didn't tell me that before. Steve's on here talking about one thing he started to do. He'd use a stick and pick screw-in mount screwed into the tree about 10 foot up over his mineral sites with a cell camera so it wouldn't spook those mature deer. That's a great idea, Steve. I really like that. I really like that. I actually think you did tell me about that one time before. I know I was doing that one year, trying to catch who was stealing my cameras. I was putting dummy cameras up low on trees, and I was putting good ones up high. They never did come back. Probably a good thing. Jason, you can have that snow. I'm tired of snow. You too, Jeff. Get rid of it before I get there in a couple of weeks. Mike's talking about a spot he has an old gravel pit, more gravel than dirt. He was thinking kale. Kale, turnips, radishes. Radishes really love that rocky soil. So yeah, any of them three, even collard greens, any of them three right there will do better for you than others. If it was me and I had a preference, it'd be radishes for me. I know old Steve Cooney on here. He'll remember this. Our friends from Raised Hunting, they had some seed fall out of their truck, and they had the biggest radish you ever seen growing it next to their warehouse in the rock. It was road pack. In the rock it was growing. Steve, I know the 240 you were chasing. Yes, I do. So that's the only way you could get pics of him, with the camera up in the tree. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I guarantee they spook them. And a camera will spook a mature deer just like a human will. That mature buck gets spooked. You might get by it once, not usually, but if you do get by it once, the second time, he's going to home somewhere else. All right, guys, it's that time. They're going to be kicking me off here in about a minute and 30 seconds. So if you got a last minute thing on there, jump on here and let me know what it is, and I'll help you out as much as I can. Other than that, this is the first of many of them every other week on Tuesday nights. We're going to be doing these all the way till October, the 1st of October. So each every other week, I'll be throwing up the topic to let you know what the topic's about. Again, that is just to get it started. I'd rather answer your guys' questions than ramble on about something. So just like when I do seminars at a show, I'd rather do Q&A than go over a PowerPoint, just because I want to help you guys out much as I can. So, all right, guys. Well, we're going to jump off here tonight and get everything fired up and going. And we'll see you here just shortly. We'll talk to you here in a couple of weeks. Take care, guys.